diabetic friendly with the low glycemic index. Pure, unfiltered, and natural. Straight from the hive to your table.
Tupelo honey from Smiley Honey, the gold standard of honey.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? If competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business, come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. Or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport. The best place in town to take a leak.
Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN+, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Lucid Stream TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200+ entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $42 a month when you use the promo code ESPNNW at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Northwest Florida's home for college football bowl games. WGSX Lynn, WVLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got to bat. The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Christmas tree at the Christmas party.
And good Wednesday morning. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. A little more challenging when you got to tee it up from YouTube, I'm assuming. So
yeah, it's another step.
It's another step, another button you got to hit. DJ QB1 behind the glass today. DJ Davey Crockett inside the studio, and Jay had a very long phone call apparently that he had to be on today, so he will not be joining us in studio tonight. But if you did bet him coming to the game last night and you bet the yes, you would have certainly cashed in, as he did come out all the way out there to Hardhurst Park and watch a little flag football action. I feel like he did it for the kids. He's got a lot of kids on both of those teams that he teaches in the world of golf. Yeah. So nice to see him come out. Obviously, hopefully you're tuned in on 104.3 here in Panama City and Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. You can watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, and follow. That is on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are streaming live every day, the Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9. They will be off the next couple weeks. And, of course, the Inside Drive right here from 11 to 1 in the afternoon, Underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m. We will just be off next week. That is the Inside Drive and the afternoon Underdogs. We will return on the 30th of December as we get ever so close to approaching the new year, 2025. We got a good show lined up for you guys today. We're going to talk about lots of random stuff here in the first segment. Then we're going to let Liam pick the college football playoff bracket. I know you, David, or you, Jay, and I have already done our brackets as well, but we're only 2 days away from the start of the college football playoff bracket. And all 4 of those games will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. That'll be starting this Friday night. That is Indiana at Notre Dame. That'll be a 7 p.m. kickoff right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm assuming coverage starts maybe 6 or 6:30 right after the afternoon underdogs. Or no show on Friday.
No show on Friday because we got Florida Tulane at 2:30. So we'll be playing that game,
nice,
yeah,
nice.
and then we'll roll into Indiana and Notre Dame at 6:30. Coverage starting 7 o'clock kick.
There you go, 7 o'clock kickoff, and then of course Saturday it's the 3-game college football playoff slate, starting with SMU at Penn State. That'll be at 11 a.m., and then we've got Clemson at Texas at 3 p.m., followed by Tennessee at Ohio State for the nightcap playoff game at 7 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone. So if you're not around your TV, you can tune it into ESPN Northwest 40. You can do that by downloading our free mobile app as well. If you don't have your radio with you, you can find that in the Google Play or Apple Store. All you got to do is search up 104.3, and you'll find that in either store, regardless of which device you do in fact have. Also, you can go to ESPNPC.com, as we have here in the studio. Working great every day. That is Lucid Streams TV. You'll find that TV channel icon on our homepage. You can sign up for just $41.99 per month. If you have streaming or cable currently, I guarantee it's got more, and it's significantly less expensive than what you're paying for right now. Over 10,000 movies on demand. If you're wanting to binge watch some Christmas movies, Lucid Streams TV is certainly a great way to do that. And I still think they're doing a free 3-day trial. So, hey, jump in this weekend. College football playoffs, NFL slate's another good one lined up. Excited to see the playoff implications. Everything's kind of starting to take shape as we are week 16 here in the NFL football season.
It's so crazy. Like it feels like just yesterday we were picking division winners, and here we are in week 16. College football regular season has already surpassed us. This is the best, worst time of the year where you're just like, this is what we wait for all year, especially doing what we do. Yep. It's like getting to the football season, and then as soon as we get to it, it just flashes by in the blink of an eye.
No doubt. Lots of playoffs coming up, both college and NFL, but that also means the seasons are certainly getting closer to coming to an end. A little recap of the big flag football game last night. Dynasty and the Lightning, 2 undefeated teams in the Southern Elite Sports 4th and 5th grade division.
How'd y'all do?
How'd y'all do? How did we do? It was a great football game. It ended up being 18-0 in that one. Your
back-to-back shutouts.
Back-to-back shutouts. Okay. Your defense played fantastic.
Our defense
played fantastic. Liam, you were pulling some flags. You kept trying to move to the back of the field, but hey, those plays that you made were very, very important, ripping those flags when needed to. No doubt about that. And of course, lots of great plays. Sawyer Blue, man.
Sawyer had himself a night last night.
He did. We don't usually do that, but player of the game certainly would have been Sawyer.
Yeah.
Sawyer Blue, no doubt about that. Made some huge catches on some drives late in the game, and was very, very important. But beautiful night for flag football, and good to see all the refs and everybody out there. It was a good time. Good time. One of the refs that refed a bunch of our basketball games. Obviously, we didn't do very well in basketball. He's like, "Oh, I get to see the sport you kept telling me that you guys that's what you play." And I was like, so I'm glad he was on our game last night.
You got to see the reality of what Dynasty actually brings to the table.
There's a reason why there's a football in our logo and not basketball. We started with football. We dabbled in basketball this past year, but we've come back to where our favorite spot is.
Hey, the bread and the butter, but the more sports that kids play, the better that they're going to be at the sports that they end up choosing to play when they get to the higher levels. And that's one thing that I always, back when I was growing up, soccer was like, oh, why would I want to play that sport? But as I got older, I was like, man, that would have really helped my footwork out in certain aspects. And the more that I've, watched that beautiful game, the more I've fallen in love with the sport of soccer. But it is one of those things, man. You do have your bread and butter, but the more that you dive into your toast, I guess, the all-encompassing aspects of it the better you're going to get at every sport.
Oof. I like that. It's very true. It's very true. And if you ask a lot of college coaches, they want to know, what other sports do you play? Look at that. There's some ticket prices. Pretty expensive. Expensive, even on campus there. I wonder if
$1,000, Indiana, Notre Dame.
The get-in price at South Bend up there. I wonder if the students still get their allotment of student tickets.
They better.
I would assume that would be pretty stupid.
They're the driving force at college football games, aren't they?
Absolutely.
That's where you get the craziness from. That's where you get the rushing of the field and all of that stuff, regardless if you agree or disagree with storming the field. It's one of those things that students love to do. Do they do it for attention and not for reality sometimes? Yes. Or just out of pure excitement? Yes, I think that there's some truth to that. But that Indiana-Notre Dame game, what a game to kick off our inaugural 12-team college football playoff. Really excited about that one.
I like how they staggered one and did a Friday night game, kind of just to ease us in. Maybe not ease. It could be a great football game and ease us in and get us ready, get us a little taste for that Saturday 3-game slate of the college football play. It'd be tough to play 4 without having one. I don't think you could play 4 with having one, overlap another one or be in a very similar time frame. That's for sure.
Definitely couldn't do that. And I think it's better than having 2 on Friday and 2 on Saturday as well. I think they've done a great job with this, and I really do think that you don't want to play your best game or the game that you think could be the best game, because I do believe that Tennessee-Ohio State is the one game on this slate that is coin flip with and the spread does not recognize that. 7.5 in favor of Ohio State. All of these are pretty high spread games when we're looking at the spread, but Indiana Notre Dame is a great way to get it started.
Yeah, no doubt. Matchup of the state of Indiana. We did have the all county selections were released yesterday for the 6 Bay County high school football teams, voted on by the head coaches and the local media members. I didn't get a ballot. Did you get a ballot?
No.
Best of Bay winning show here on radio in Bay County, and we didn't get a ballot to vote on the Bay County, and especially you. I mean, you've seen all 6 Bay County schools.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll petition for it. If somebody's listening
maybe we'll put a ballot in for a ballot.
Yeah, there you go. We'll vote to get a vote. They didn't ask for the Heisman Trophy either, but I can understand that
That's
one a
next
little
year.
bit more. Yeah.
Actually, no, 5 years. We got to go through our 10-year probationary period. So about 5 more years from now, we'll get a Heisman vote.
Gotcha. They wouldn't have liked it anyway. I think we both would have voted for Ashton Jeanty.
Oh, that would have been so. Had I had a vote, it would have been so tough. I would have been like, can I put a 1A, 1B here? I think for reasons that we've all kind of gone over, whereas with Travis Hunter, what he's been doing has been so impressive, playing on both sides of the ball, but there's not a side that really stands out as you are a stud on this side of the ball. You're a stud, period. Point blank, period. But we haven't seen a running back like this since Barry Sanders. And then the fact of that, I think the way that it gets skewed is Barry Sanders played against Oklahoma State, also did it in a time where it was tougher to run the ball, but they ran the ball more.
They did run the ball more, but certainly tougher.
There is that. But I think people look at it whereas, it's Boise State. So I think some of the numbers or some of the perspectives got skewed because Ashton Jeanty is presumably doing it against weaker competition, whereas Travis Hunter may be doing it against stronger competition week in and week out. But, man, I would just implore you to go to the Oregon game where he had 195 yards or so and was doing that against the team who ended up at the end of the season was the number 1 team in the land.
Yeah, no doubt. Liam, who would you have voted for in the Heisman Trophy race?
Ashton Jeanty.
Ashton Jeanty as well? Why come? Just because he dominated in his position?
He's looking for a sounder.
You give himself the Jeopardy sounder.
Correct.
Yeah, there you go. But getting to these Bay County All-County Selections Awards, we're going to start with it ended up being the Co-Offensive Player of the Year. You're going to hear a lot of Mosley High School names on here, and obviously,
rounded staff.
Yeah, well-rounded. Obviously, a lot of great football players, and a lot of great football players going to the next level. And that starts with Locavian Jackson. He's a senior at Mosley High School, committed to Mississippi State. He is co-offensive player with his teammate and quarterback, Sammy Freitas. Again, both from Mosley High School there. The defensive player of the year was Mac Jones Jr. from Arnold High School. And if you had a chance to watch Mac play, he was a force to be reckoned with in the defensive side of the football for the Arnold Maulers, and some could say he was a big part of their success, no doubt. And another big part of the Arnold Marlins' success was the 2024 Bay County Football Coach of the Year, back-to-back years. That is Coach Jason Griffin. He got it last year, taking Bozeman High School to the Final Four, and then obviously coming over to Arnold.
How impressive is that to do that with two different schools, two different size schools too? With Bozeman being a smaller rural school, and for him to get the job done with Peyton Gay and the guys over there last year. I mean, the playoff run that they had last year was a ton of fun. I was at 2 of those playoff games, and then to come over Arnold, first year team that was winless last year.
0-9 last year. They scored 12 points. They got outscored 476-12.
Yeah,
and a lot of the same players that were on that team were on this team this year as well.
And that's no disrespect to Coach Campbell too. Like,
not
he
at
was
all.
in a very tough position.
He came in as the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Coach Vaughn was there, and then Coach Vaughn just retired.
Yeah.
And, obviously Coach Campbell didn't want to leave the program high and dry, so he stepped up and did the best he could for a few years. But, Arnold ended up going 7-4 this year and secured a playoff berth. It was Arnold's first winning season in a decade and their most wins since 2010. Coach Griffin said he couldn't have earned the Coach of the Year honors without the incredible coaching staff around him. I have been beyond fortunate to have the caliber of coaches with me, both at Bozeman and now here at Arnold, Griffin said. The staff and the guys that I have, it's incredibly humbling to know that these kind of guys, these kind of coaches of their caliber and their abilities and their talents want to be on my staff and part of what we're trying to accomplish. So I think they're building something over there at Arnold, and we'll see how that continues going forward.
I mean, I think every school in Bay County right now is building in the correct direction. I think Coach Brown over there at Bay High is doing a wonderful job. Obviously, we've seen Coach Griffin now over there at Bozeman and now here at Arnold doing a wonderful job. Coach Whidden is turning Mosley into somewhat of a powerhouse. Now we've got to get over that hump of the first round of the playoffs. You've got Coach Nuke Floyd over there at Rutherford doing a wonderful job. And once they got that first taste of winning this year, they kept on moving in the right direction. Bronson Sweat, first-year coach over there at Bozeman. I think he's building that program in the right direction. North Bay Haven's got a lot of work to do, but they had some flashes of scoring points in some games where it took them a while. I mean, I think like for a while, their only points were it was a safety for a little bit. So they, North Bay Haven's got a long way to go, but outside of that, every other school in Bay County is building in the right direction. The problem is year to year, how are your trenches going to look? How are your big boys going to look? And that's going to be indicative of the success that you can bring to your program.
No doubt. Still, the way you win football games is on those trenches, on those lines, both offensive and defensive. First team All-County. I'll go through this as quick as I can. Mosley High School has your quarterback and 2 running backs on first team. Obviously, quarterback Sammy Freitas, running back Locavian Jackson, and running back Sammy Chisholm, who is just a sophomore. Then wide receiver from Bay High, Joaquin Waters Sr.
He's fun to watch.
He's a senior.
Yeah, Joaquin Waters was a lot of fun to watch. He had a long touchdown pass, I believe, against Mosley. He's a very talented athlete.
Yep, there you go. And Darren Elder, I got to stop saying junior because that's just telling me their classification. From Arnold High School, he is a junior. Jack Massey, the second or third wide receiver there to be first team All-County. He is obviously from Mosley High School. And then Lakota Johnson, he's a senior from Bozeman High School. And then you've had 3 athletes there who obviously play multiple positions. I think Locavian Jackson could have fallen into that as well. Caleb Caleb Toombs, he's a senior from Bay High. Marquise Wilkerson, he is a junior from Bay High. And then Javar Bowden, he is also a junior for Bay High.
A lot of offers for JT, yeah.
Nice, good stuff. So, hey, you got 2 juniors there at Bay High that'll be coming back for their senior year, coming off some nice first-team All-County awards there. On the offensive line, you had Cam D. Nero. He is a senior from Arnold High School. Charles Grubbs, he's a sophomore from Bay High. Zion Miller, he is a junior from Bay High as well. Reed Pongratz, he's a senior from Bozeman High School. Cameron Calvin, he is a senior from Mosley High School. Dalen Davis, a sophomore from Arnold High School. Raiden Bruins is a senior from Mosley High School. We switched the defensive line there with Dalen Davis and Raiden Bruins. And then TJ Davis, he is a junior from Bay High. And then again from Mosley, Tyler Tanner, another senior there from Mosley High School.
Underrated on the defensive front. Yeah, they had a great defensive front with Raiden Bruins, and Tyler Tanner was on the other side of him, and and big Joseph Chima anchoring it down in the middle. Man, they had a really good defensive front and was able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks, and also that's the big reason why they were able to shut down the running game. And obviously, when you have guys like Wyatt Fleming and Sawyer Schultz, I mean, it makes it a little bit easier to game plan for run and aerial offenses.
No doubt. Mosley, obviously one of the better teams here in Bay County, and you can kind of see that with these first-team selections, and both on the offensive and defensive line as well. Linebackers, we had 4 linebackers selected to first-team All-County. That is Tyler Tanner. He's a senior from Mosley. Mac Jones, obviously, was the Defensive Player of the Year, also first-team from Arnold High School. Will Arboleta, he's a junior from Mosley High School. Wyatt Fleming, who you just mentioned, is a junior from Mosley High School. Sawyer Schultz as well, a senior from Mosley High School. And then on the defensive back side of things, La'Kavian Jackson, kind of like the Travis Hunter here in Bay County, obviously getting first team. He was a co-offensive player of the year. He's first team as a wide or as a running back, and he's also first team as a defensive back as well.
Had they, I'm just going to be point blank and up front right here. Had they used him like an actual Travis Hunter, especially in the big games, especially in the playoff, they weren't losing to Fleming Island. Had they utilized him like that, and Travis Hunter was a wide receiver, LoJack more of that running back position. Had they done, and Coach Whidden really does like to just use guys on one side of the ball. LoJack was a little bit differently, but late in that game, had they ran the ball with him, he was hard to stop. He single-handedly brought, despite what, if anyone was at the game, they know. Yeah. He single-handedly brought Mosley back by causing the fumble. Then he has a long touchdown run. The ball should have been in his hands late in the game. It wasn't, and that's just one of those things that you learn from and you move on from. But that was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. On the defensive back side of things, you got Evan Pickford. He is from Arnold. He's a senior. Kavarius Manley. He's a senior from Bay High. I wonder if he's related to Coach.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I know he's not. I know he's not.
Okay, that's fair. Obviously, as I said, La'Kavian Jackson, a senior there from Mosley High School. John Hansen is a junior from Bozeman High School. Braylon Hurd is a junior from Rutherford High School. Yeah. And then you got 2 athletes on the defense. You got Eric Olds, senior, Coach Olds' son.
Yes, sir.
Good to see his name in first team All-County there from Rutherford High School. And then Darren Elder, he's a junior from Arnold High School. Kicker, first team All-County was Maverick Wright.
Oh, the Golden Toe.
The Golden Toe, a junior from Mosley High School. He'll be back for his senior year next year. And then the punter from Arnold High School was Lincoln Gunn. He is a senior there from Arnold. If we get some more time later in the show, I'll jump into the second team and the honorable mention, as well as there's a lot of names on this list. But we got to go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, I want to talk to you guys about the big decision the Atlanta Falcons made that broke a little bit earlier today. Michael Penix Jr. will be getting the start for the Atlanta Falcons. And then, Liam, yes, you will pick the college football playoff bracket. See if you can do better than Jay. We'll find out. You guys listen to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The afternoon underdogs.
Albeit it's not your vintage Aaron Rodgers. He's averaging less than 5 yards a pass. These statistics, if you apply them to previous defenses, we should be competitive right now. Mm-hmm. The reason why we are not competitive is our now ex-brilliant GM, deconstructed the defense, brought in a malcontent from the Philadelphia Eagles who clearly don't miss him.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Wednesday's weather forecast. Lightly sprinkling and partly cloudy this afternoon and evening with a high near 72 and a wind 3 to 7 miles per hour. A mixture of some clouds and slight fog tonight, a calm wind and a temperature of 60. About the same tomorrow, around 69 with some sun. Sunny Friday and quite warm around 63. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Do you hear a squealing sound when you're braking? How about a clunking when turning? Shaking while under acceleration? These are all problems that Alford Tire and Service Center in Callaway can solve. With our friendly staff and trusted mechanics, we here at Alford offer a wide variety of services to keep you on the road and driving, which comes back with our nationwide warranty and easy financing options. Located in beautiful Callaway on Tyndall Parkway, we do it all at Alford Tire and Service Center.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the college football playoffs and bowl games.
Getting to the goal line and in for the touchdown.
Listen live in ultra-high fidelity on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley. Broadcasting live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Great intro song
it's not
there.
Working. Yeah, it's like not working.
I'm gonna guess user error.
I'm gonna guess that you're clicking on a song and it's not turning red when you click on it. So click a different song.
Ooh, the key is it's like Christmas. Got to turn red. Got it. We've been back, but we're officially back now. You guys are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, Liam, what do you want to do first? You want to talk about the Cousins getting benched, or you want to pick your college football bracket?
I mean, I guess we'll do, for some reason, Michael Penix going above Kirk Cousins.
Kirky.
Oh, Captain Kirk, $100 million guaranteed, and you bench him in the first year with the team. I mean, you really can't argue with his performance. He's thrown a lot of interceptions so far this year.
But he has won games.
He has. And, you know, we talked about this with Keith last week, and I kind of was standing on the Cousins side of things. I just thought Kirk Cousins gives you a better chance to win, and you're still in the playoff race. You're only a game back now of the Bucs, maybe 2 games. I think the Bucs are 8-6.
Yeah.
I think the Falcons are 6-8.
7-7, I believe.
Oh, 7-7. So they're only a game back. And interesting decision.
I'll check that, though.
I actually got it right here in front of me. Yeah, 7-7 and 8-6. You're a game back of the division lead, and you're going to your first round draft pick, Michael Penix Jr., who has not started or seen any regular season action as an NFL quarterback. And what have we talked about for the last several years is these young quarterbacks being thrown into the mix a little bit too early, and then you got to have the rebirth of their career like Sam Darnold, like Baker Mayfield. Mayfield, and you just hope it's not one of those situations from Michael Penix Jr. where he gets out. I mean, talk about being thrown into a situation. You know, your team is trying to make the playoffs. You obviously started off on a hot streak, kind of cooled off significantly after that, and then of course now you're fighting week in and week out for playoff game, and you're turning to your rookie quarterback that's never seen any regular season action.
Well, he's also going to be going up against the Giants for his first start, so there is some hope there, right?
Absolutely.
It's a very winnable game. I'm stuck in between this position. I'm not someone who's like, well, just because you paid them the money, that's the direction.
No. We've seen that now with a lot of
Deshaun
teams.
Watson.
Yep.
I mean, the Browns are going to be going with DTR this Sunday instead of Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston has provided sparks, but he's also provided plenty of pick sixes along the way as well. So this move doesn't necessarily surprise me, but then again, you cannot not blame Kirk Cousins for the bad quarterback play that he's had this year when there was so much excitement. They've got a good wide receiving core. They've got a good running back tandem. They've got tight ends and a pretty good defense to boot. Again, I was not a big believer in Raheem Morris going into this situation, so I think that there was some partial blame, in my opinion. Like, did they set Kirk Cousins up in the best offense? But when you've got good weapons and you're still continuing to turn the ball over despite the money that you're getting, maybe it's time to go ahead and see what the young man brings to the table, because you did draft him very early on. Yeah. And so, hey, Mike Penix has now had the benefit of being able to sit behind a veteran. Yeah. Nonetheless, regardless of how you feel about how he did this year, Kirk Cousins knows the game of football.
No doubt.
And so we'll see, does that help Mike Penix because it's been a slow roll for him? Does that help him here in his first start?
I guess we'll find out. But like you said, really their opponents aren't too tough. Kirk Cousins has thrown for 3,508 yards this season, which is quite a bit. It's seventh in out of all quarterbacks right now. But the problem is he's only thrown for 18 touchdowns, and he's paired that up with 16 interceptions.
Ooh, dog, that's like me on Madden.
It's almost a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which is not good in the NFL. He leads by 2 over Baker Mayfield, who's thrown 14 interceptions, but what Baker Mayfield has done is thrown 32 touchdown
There
passes.
you go. So he's doubling up.
Yeah, he's more than a 2-to-1 ratio there, which really, more than 2-to-1. 3-to-1 obviously is ideal, but those 16 interceptions have led to a lot of points for the opposing team. But yeah, I mean, Michael Penix, it could end up being like a great move. I mean, obviously he played for Washington and did really well there, and they went to the college football playoff. A little different. Last time Atlanta had a left-handed quarterback,
Mike Vick.
He was pretty solid, pretty solid there, and I guess he's going to be coaching at either Sacramento State or the other one, Norfolk State.
That got
up there in Virginia. Oh, it's
yesterday.
officialized.
Yeah.
I like that. Officialized.
And a lot of people were leaning towards Sac State, but yeah, he took the job yesterday.
Virginia, right?
Yeah.
He's going back to his state
his
where
stomping grounds.
That's it, where he turned the college world upside down, and then obviously
a lot of pushback from the the world of social media. There's a lot of people who still don't like
keyboard warriors.
Mike Vick. Well, yeah, and they're entitled to their opinion, and that's fine. I'm huge on second chances, and there's a lot of people they killed somebody, but they deserve a second chance, or they've been even rumored to kill someone, and like they deserve a second chance, but like
Hall of
God
Famers.
forbid someone does something too. And again, that wasn't all just Mike Vick, but Mike Vick was responsible.
Yeah, he was kind of the
for it, and so end of the day, you're in the wrong. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You were in the wrong, but we are in a country, a world where you do deserve those second chances, and he's already got his second chance. Caveman Rick alluded to this yesterday on the Afternoon Underdogs. Yeah. He got his second chance, and he made the most of it.
He did, yeah.
One of my college papers when I was at Gulf Coast was on Mike Vick and his rebound. So
nice. Very, very, very cool.
I always took the opportunity, if I could write about sports when I was in school, like at ENC 1102 and stuff, I'm writing about sports.
Makes perfect sense. Liam, what do you think? You should have think the Falcons should have stuck with Captain Kirk, or it was time to make the move to the rookie Michael Penix Jr.?
I think they should have stayed with Kirk, but do like a little what Auburn did and switch him out sometimes, but have Kirk Cousins play more, because he's He's still good, but he just throws too many picks.
I think it's Michael Penix's team now, though, I think. And Michael Penix brings a different aspect at the quarterback position than Kirk Cousins does. Kirk Cousins is not mobile by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know if that's just, still dealing with the Achilles tendon issues. Or,
that's a good point.
Obviously, and we've talked about that with Keith, like your drive foot for him this year, it just seems like he's been a little bit slow with the ball and the velocity and all those things. So, but maybe that's due to the injury, but Michael Penix brings a scrambling ability that Kirk Cousins certainly does not have, and that's got to make defenses think, and he can extend drives, get a few third downs with his legs, and like David said, their schedule is pretty formidable for a rookie quarterback to come in. Obviously, a lot of pressure as they are trying to win the division, as that looks like their only route to make the playoffs, but their remaining games, they have the Giants this weekend at the house, so a nice comfortable start at home. That is a 12 o'clock game here in the Central Time Zone. And then they do have to go on the road for Sunday Night Football on the 29th. Man, that's crazy. Next week is the 29th on Sunday. That's nuts.
Don't say
4 days after Christmas. So that'll be a tough one. Tough one up there in Virginia, in the D.C. metro area, the DVA area, as they call it up there. But little primetime action. And then they finish the season with the Carolina Panthers at home. So, Commanders game might be a little tough, but the Commanders defense really isn't that great. They give up a lot of points and a lot of plays. So certainly looking good there for Michael Penix to come in and maybe make an impact. And if he does, Raheem Morris and that front office staff's going to certainly look like they made the right decision.
Yeah.
A lot riding on that. But, hey, it is what it is. That's why they get to make those decisions, and we get to talk about those decisions and give their opinion.
Well, in the Bucs, they've got the Cowboys. They're on the road for the Cowboys for Sunday Night Football this week.
That's the over in that game.
Yep, that's probably a very good point. Then they're hosting the Panthers and hosting the Saints. So they've got, one road game, 2 home games, 2 pretty easy opponents in the NFC South as well. So it's going to be a tough road ahead, but I think if you're the Falcons right now and you've already decided, hey, Kirk Cousins, and this is something we've been kind of talking about since week 11 or week 12, that Kirk Cousins could be traded to a contender for next year. If that is in your agenda, if that's on your itinerary, then yes, it's time to go ahead and see what Mike Penix brings to the table, because that lets you know, look, we might not draft a quarterback in the first round again this year, but we might draft one in the third round, or we might go try to find us a very serviceable backup quarterback for next year, knowing that still, regardless, quarterbacks are always susceptible to injuries.
Absolutely.
And Michael Penix, we've already seen, has succumbed to injuries
multiples
before.
In college, absolutely. And hey, Falcons, draft yourself an offensive lineman or a good defensive player this draft. You've spent a lot of draft capital on offensive players, and hopefully Michael Penix can utilize those weapons. All right, Liam, let's dive into it. The college football playoff gets underway this Friday night right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. That'll follow the Florida and you said Tulane bowl game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Down there in Tampa, I believe, Gasparilla Bowl.
The Gasparilla Bowl. The Gasparilla is the Pirates Fest down there. It's usually in late January. A good time if you've never been. All right, the first game on the docket, Liam, is that bottom left-hand game. That starts Friday night, 7 p.m. It'll be on ABC, ESPN, and, of course, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Number 10, Indiana, traveling not too far to South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the only team in the college football playoff that has not had a player enter the transfer portal. Liam, who do you like in that one?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. That is also who I have. I think that's also who you have, David Hayes.
Regretfully so. I want Indiana to win the game. But
want Indiana to win the game. Notre Dame will likely win the game. That is for sure. Obviously, I think unless you're a Notre Dame fan, alum, whatever it may be, you're probably pulling for Indiana. And then that Saturday slate, Liam, get started with the game right above it. Number 11, SMU, traveling up to the chilly Nittany Lions Stadium, their Beaver Stadium, I believe is what it's called. That is an 11 a.m. kickoff. That'll be on TNT or Max if you have it, but it'll also be right here on ESPN.
This is so wild, like TNT or Max.
Yep.
Like, oh, man, watching football on HBO.
Anyway, Liam, who you got in this one?
Penn State.
Penn State. I've got Penn State, and I believe you've got Penn State as well.
Pretty chalky here in the first round.
Yeah, a lot of big spreads, like you said. just a real quick note. There's still hotels that have on their little signs that says free HBO.
Yeah.
I'm like, how long has that been around? Is that shit? Do people still care about that one? I don't know.
I mean, I guess so, because it is one of those, like, if you're still on the cable side of things, you have to pay for an extra upgrade to get that.
Yeah.
But then also you can get just a standalone of HBO Max,
yeah.
and then you can kind of be on demand with things. But the more that you wrap up into those standalone streaming services, next thing you know, you're spending $300 or $400 on all of your different
Adds up quick.
services. So
adds up quick. All right, Liam.
Rocket Mortgage for the win.
There you go. There you go. The next one coming up is the 3 p.m. game. Again, TNT or Max, but it'll also be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Number 12, Clemson, your ACC champions, getting in by way of conference championship, taking on the number 5 seed. Some saying the number 5 seed being one of the best routes to that national championship, the Texas Longhorns. Liam, who do you got in this one?
Let me get Texas.
I know you're.
But you also skipped number 9.
Well, I skipped it because I'm doing it in order of games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that one's on at 7 p.m.
Well, let me get Texas.
All right, Texas in that one. I've actually got Clemson upsetting Texas. There's got to be an upset in the first round, so I'm taking Clemson to upset the Longhorns. Quinn Ewers maybe going to the Oregon Ducks in the offseason. I think Nike's thinking about offering him some cash money to go up there. But don't they have besides Dylan Gabriel, didn't they bring somebody else in this past year as well?
The kid
that was a stud?
from UCLA, I believe. Now I'm blanking on his name, but
too.
Deontay something maybe.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
Thank you. All right, Liam, last first round game, that is 7 p.m. Again, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. The number 9 Tennessee Volunteers going up against the Buckeyes up there in the shoe.
Dante Moore,
that's right, UCLA.
Let me get Tennessee.
Ooh, I like it.
To be Ohio State.
I've also got Tennessee in the upset over the Ohio State University. David Hayes, you got Ohio State in this one.
No, I think I'm taking Tennessee in that game. I'll have to go look at the bracket, but that's where I'm at right now because I think the defensive line, actually both sides of the trenches, I think is in favor of the Tennessee Volunteers. Ohio State's going to have a few chinks in their armor on the offensive line. And is Chip Kelly going to be able to call, like, if they're going to run the ball at the front of the defense, it's going to be a long day for Ohio State.
They got to pass. They got some of the best wide receivers in the country.
Yeah, they do. But will they is the difference.
They didn't certainly do that in the game against Michigan.
You have two of the greatest running backs in the world of college football right now, and that doesn't mean that you just got to run it up the middle, though. You can utilize those guys on the perimeter, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yep. Out of the 4 first-round games, the Tennessee-Ohio State game has the closest spread at 7.5. Texas is a 12-point favorite over Clemson. Penn State an 8.5 favorite over SMU. I lied. The Indiana-Notre Dame game is actually the closest spread at 7 for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
All right, we still got time. Liam, all right, now you got to keep going, okay? We'll start with the top of the bracket. That's going to be January 1st, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which I believe will be up there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Again, all these bowl games will also be on ESPN Northwest Florida. So you've got Texas, and then it would be going against number 4 Arizona State. Who do you have winning that game, advancing to the semifinal, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic on January 10th?
I got Arizona State getting kicked out.
Ooh, got Arizona State getting bounced by Texas. So you got Texas advancing to the playoff semifinal. I've actually got Arizona State beating Clemson in that one, moving on to the playoff semifinal. Scattaboo, Kenny Dillingham, Sam Levitt, just a trio of excitement there for the Sun Devils. All right, all 3 of us have Tennessee versus Oregon. Liam, who do you got moving on in that one?
Give me the Ducks.
Quack, quack. The Ducks versus the Longhorns for you in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I've got Oregon. I believe David has Oregon as well.
Yeah.
Going down there to the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Back in 2007, if everybody remembers that Fiesta Bowl, not only was there a hook and ladder, there was also a Statue of Liberty. Just a great upset by the Boise State Broncos in that one. They will face, or whoever wins the SMU Penn State game, but all 3 of us have Penn State versus Boise State. Liam, who do you have advancing to the other playoff semifinal, which is the Capital One Orange Bowl down there in Miami?
Penn State.
Ooh, we got the Nittany Lions going to their first ever semifinal there. I've actually got Boise State moving on to the Capital One Orange Bowl. David, I believe you had Penn State, if I remember
Penn State,
correctly.
Georgia,
Yep.
I don't think, honestly, I think Penn State has the best fan base.
Wow. Hot take. Why?
Yeah, what makes you feel
Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, I want to dive into that a little more. I know a lot of people that went to Penn State. You guys are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd.
What the Eagles are is basically that couple that constantly argues and nobody thinks the marriage will ever stay intact, and they just had their 45th wedding anniversary. It doesn't make sense. All their qualities are what teams like Tennessee have and Carolina have.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Celebrate the magic of the season with last-minute deals at Target. With up to 50% off toys and video games, you'll save so much while you finish your list. Plus, you'll find incredible deals on clothing, beauty, small appliances, floor care, and so much more. And there are even more ways to save when you join Target Circle for free and get exclusive deals automatically. Hurry to save on gifts before last-minute deals are over. Happier holidays from Target. Restrictions apply.
Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Lucid Stream TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200-plus entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $42 a month when you use the promo code ESPNNW at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
For the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley.
This man is destroying golf.
Broadcasting live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios.
You may be right, but our ratings are up and we're attracting new youthful sponsors.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
We are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Not quite the afternoon yet, but obviously we'll have Keith Fleming joining us. It is Wednesday. He'll be with us. I think he's going to be talking a lot about quarterback MVP comparison. Obviously want to get his thoughts as an Atlanta Falcon fan with Michael Penix now getting the start. All right, Liam, you picked Penn State going in the Capital One Orange Bowl. I know you mentioned Penn State fan base. I know you don't really want to elaborate on it, so we'll just leave it as you just think that they have a great fan base. And I do know a few people that go to Penn State, and like David said, kind of off the air, they don't really talk a whole lot.
But talking about the students.
The students.
Oh, so they have the best student section in the land.
I think that
is it the whiteout that does it for you? Is that what it is?
Is it from playing college football? EA or
Bamba?
NC? La Bamba? La Bamba, the dance. But anyway, it is called Happy Valley. So maybe there's some merit.
So maybe they have the happiest student section in the land.
There you go. It's a big student section, a big stadium, and it'll be chilly and exciting come Saturday this weekend coming up. And if they make it to the Fiesta Bowl, it'll be exciting on New Year's Eve as well. All right, the last quarterfinal game. All three of us had Notre Dame advancing to take on Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl down there in New Orleans. That'll be on January 1st at 7:45 p.m. local and our time as well. Liam, who do you got, Notre Dame or Georgia?
Georgia.
Even with the backup quarterback. A lot of people don't seem to care about that. And a lot of people picking Georgia to go all the way.
I mean, they got a strong team, and you put them in this situation when it's backs against the wall and Kirby's going to find someone. They don't believe you can do it because you got a backup quarterback, even though Kirby does. It'd be more like, they don't believe.
Yeah, a little more inflection there. But I also have Georgia, and I believe you had Georgia as well. Yeah. So, Liam, you've got Texas and Oregon in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. That is the first of two playoff semifinals. Not on the same day. Actually, excuse me, that's the second. The first one is the Capital One Orange Bowl on January 9th, which that's going to be 6:30 p.m., which we'll have a game at 7 on January 9th when we get back for the flag football season. So we'll start with that one. I've got Boise State and Georgia playing against each other, and then y'all have Penn State and Georgia playing against each other. Liam, who do you have winning that game on Ryan's birthday?
Penn State.
Penn State. I can kind of guess how this is going. Maybe we're going to have a little SEC Big Ten matchup in his national championship bracket.
I'm in the same boat as he is. I've got Georgia taking care of business against Penn State as well.
I've actually got Boise State upsetting the Georgia Bulldogs. They're pulling out all the tricks in this college football.
Got a rematch going, right, for the daddy.
That's it. That's it. They got to beat Boise State, or they got to beat Penn State and then beat Georgia. But the Cardiac Kids are going to make it happen. So I have Boise State advancing to the national championship on January 20th, which is a Saturday, which is absolutely awesome. And then up in the other playoff semifinal, like I said, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, January 10th, 6:30 p.m. kickoff here in the Central Time Zone. That's actually the local time zone there as well. I've got Arizona State and Oregon. I got Oregon moving on. Liam, I know you have Texas and Oregon. I'm going to guess some Burnt Orange will be moving on to the national championship for you. Who do you got in that game?
Yep. Texas.
The Longhorns. It'll be taking on you said the Georgia Bulldogs and the other one?
Yeah, I think he had Georgia beating Penn State.
No,
he had Penn State beating Georgia. That's right.
That's right, because of the fans.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. David Hayes, I believe you had Texas moving on to the national championship.
No, I got Oregon
that's right.
Texas.
That's right. You got Oregon beating Texas. And so you have an Oregon-Georgia national championship. Yeah. He's got a Texas Penn State national championship, and I've got an Oregon-Boise State national championship with Oregon winning that one to become your 2025 national champion and your first inaugural 12-team playoff. I don't know if you can say it's
doing it undefeated.
Undefeated the whole way. That's tough.
And for the teams that they'll beat along the way, I think that it lessens it some with getting the national championship over Boise State, and it'll be the second time that you beat them in the season, all of that good stuff. But if it's the way that I've got it going, and it goes opposite in the championship, and Oregon beats Georgia in the national championship, so you beat Texas, you beat who else would have they won in the to get to the championship? That would have been
winner of
Texas.
Tennessee, Ohio State.
So you beat them. You beat either Tennessee or Ohio State. Then you beat Texas. Then you beat Georgia. And it's like, is that not a case for not only do they have the most wins of all time in college football history because of the amount of games that they played, but like, could you not make the argument that that's one of the best college football teams that have ever?
To beat the opponent, if that does come to fruition, right. To beat the opponents that they certainly did, I think you got to put it up there near the top, no doubt. Liam, who do you have in yours, which would be Penn State versus Texas?
And your 2024-2025 national championship winner is Texas.
Texas getting it done. Do they do it with Quinn or do they do it with Arch?
I don't know. Not me question.
Do you think we see Arch in the playoffs?
If Quinn Ewers gets injured, yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're not moving off of him unless...
I don't think that they move off of Quinn Ewers, but I think if he has another game like how he did against Georgia in the regular season, where there could be times where Arch can provide a spark for you if you start getting flat, and we've seen the Texas Longhorns offense get flat at times. So, I'm not saying run a 2-quarterback system, but if you get stagnant, maybe it's time to bring in the Arch.
Yeah. Hey, absolutely. I mean, they've already told Quinn that next year it's Arch Manning's show, not yours. So if you want to enter that transfer portal and find another place for your final year, because NFL scouts have been saying that he needs another year in college to kind of hone those skills before entering the NFL draft. All right, so we've got an Oregon In Oregon.
Oregon and Georgia.
And a Texas.
Oh, Georgia. I got Georgia.
Georgia, Oregon, Texas. And I believe Jay had Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, but I'm not. I think he had a Georgia-Texas
I think he
final.
did as well. But again, all of those college football playoffs, as well as many of the bowl games, will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida as well. All right, while our game was going on last night, the showdown went down, and it was won kind of handedly by Scotty and Rory McIlroy. They won the first 6 holes, the best ball format.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
3-2, and then in the alternate shot, they won that one up, and then late in the game, Rory was just putting lights out last night, making kind of everything, and then it kind of went where the Scheffler, and I believe Scheffler was playing Brooks, and then Rory was playing Bryson DeChambeau, and Bryson was just missing everything, and Rory was making everything. Rory ended up securing the half point to win that for him, and their prize money was $10 million in cryptocurrency, because it was the Crypto.com showdown there on TNT. So I don't know how the viewership was or how many people actually tuned into that, but it was indeed won by Scheffler.
So the PGA top 2 is better than the LIV top 2.
In that format.
In that format.
Yep.
But
in match play, yeah, absolutely.
There you go. You got the bragging rights.
Yep. I hope they still do. There's been some hints to doing a Ryder Cup style event between the PGA Tour. And
if they don't, they're missing out on an opportunity.
Huge opportunity. That would get so much viewership, just simply because of the controversy that's been built the last 2 years in that particular style of things. Want to mention Auburn got another victory last night over Georgia State. Not surprising. I think the Auburn was a 39.5-point favorite in that one. But Janai Broom went down in that game with an apparent shoulder injury. I did talk to Brad Law. I sent him a text message asking what his thoughts were. He was obviously out for the rest of that game, but he thinks Janai will be okay. We'll keep an eye on that, as obviously Janai is a favorite for winning National Player of the Year and a huge part of that Auburn Tigers basketball team, no doubt. They won that one 100-59, kind of continuing to push their slate to be the number 1 team in the nation. But hey, the SEC is looking really, really good right now when it comes to all sports, but in basketball as well. They currently have several teams inside the top 10. Let me pull that up real quick. Got number 1, Tennessee, number 2, Auburn, number 4, Kentucky, number 6, Alabama, number 7, Florida, who is also 10-0 and hung on to win last night in I think a 2-point victory. I forget who it was. And but yeah, so you've got 5 teams inside the top 10 right now for the Southeastern Conference, just continuing to be.
It was North Carolina. They beat them by 6.
That's right.
North Carolina is sitting at 6-5.
Yep. Started off ranked very high, but continue to keep losing games. 5 losses, kind of surprising there so far for UNC. But hey, UNC has been, since Roy Williams left, I mean, they haven't quite been the same team. And I think a lot of other teams have risen up because of that. Florida, Tennessee, both 11-0. Oklahoma is also 10-0. Auburn, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Missouri, all 10-1. Then you've got 2 teams, Georgia and Vanderbilt, at 9-1, and then a slew of teams at 9-2, and then Alabama at 8-2, South Carolina at 8-3.
Who beat Clemson in overtime last night? South Carolina did 91-88.
South Carolina's got that in-state bragging rights right now. Beat them in football, and now beat them in basketball, and then obviously the girls team on the basketball side of things has beaten Clemson quite a bit. As they don't lose very many games, those South Carolina Gamecocks. But as we turn into the new year, most of these SEC teams will be jumping into conference play pretty much that second week in the new year, and that's when it starts getting exciting, because there's going to be, with that many teams ranked inside the top 25 and the top 10, you're going to have a lot of really strong matchups. I mean, just looking at Florida's schedule, when we turn to they play number 4 Kentucky and then number 1 Tennessee in back-to-back games. So it's going to be a fun spring of college basketball, and before we know it, it'll be tournament time. No doubt about it.
It will be too.
very, very quickly. But yeah. Oh, I didn't mention real quick. I'll just say it. The NBA Cup winner last night, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo. You're so good with pronunciation.
It's actually Giannis as well.
Giannis, just like Yanni.
Yeah.
Yanni Broom.
Yep.
Yanni Broom. But the Bucks started 2-8 this season and have since gone 13-3, including winning the NBA Cup and each getting $500,000. Giannis was named the NBA Cup MVP with a triple-double last night. He had 26 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists. And they just kind of shut down OKC on offense. I know Chet Holmgren's been out for a while, but OKC's still been one of the better teams in the league. We got to go ahead and take a break. When we get back, we'll be joined by Keith Fleming. He's going to want to talk quarterback MVP race, as well as the Michael Penix decision, and then, of course, give you his official lineup for Week 16 DraftKings. You guys are listening to The Inside Drive. I'll be right back with Keith Fleming.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the Inside Drive.
I've never seen this before. Like, they're still paying you a lot of money. You can go in the game, right? Like, I fully expect the 49ers to suspend him, just like the Ravens did to Deontay Johnson. I don't see how they don't. I mean, like, you literally walked away from your team.
Join Ryan Mulvey.
Thank you very little.
Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Wednesday's weather forecast. Lightly sprinkling and partly cloudy this afternoon and evening with a high near 72 and a wind 3 to 7 miles per hour. A mixture of some clouds and slight fog tonight, a calm wind and a temperature of 60. About the same tomorrow, around 69 with some sun. Sunny Friday and quite warm around 63. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hewitt Tire and Auto. Call 850-769-7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and Hometown Towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing. 850-265-1562.
Northwest Florida's home for college football bowl games. WGSX Lynn and WPLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Powered by Panama City Toyota.
At Brock Lawn and Pest Control, we're proud to be awarded the distinction of being Quality Pro certified.
Our technicians have passed rigorous training in eco-friendly application and prevention of pest treatments.
Part of the program is the practice of integrated pest management.
IPM's goal is to prevent pests from ever entering your home. It includes inspection, prevention, education, and, when necessary, application.
We're proud to be Quality Pro certified.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, the standard and level of trust.
And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City and Panama City Beach. 101.9 in Port St. Joe along that beautiful forgotten coast. You can watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, follow. That is Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are live every day streaming. We have faces for radio, but for some reason, there's also cameras that they put us on just to make sure, to remind me daily that I certainly do have a face for radio. And then, of course, you can head over to ESPNPC.com. You can't listen live there, but you can also scroll down and see that Lucid Streams TV channel icon. That's only $41.99 a month for over 10,000 movies on demand. All the streaming channels, over 2,000 of them, including pay-per-view, NFL, NFL Red Zone, NHL Center Ice, MLB, all that wonderful stuff. Again, that is Lucid Streams TV. I'm still pretty sure they're doing a free 3-day trial as we speak. Might as well jump in now. Do it on a Friday. That way you get all that weekend sports action. And, of course, I got to thank our studio sponsor. That's Bill Kramer, GM, and Kramer Marine and Outdoor. Saw the whole clan of Kramers out there yesterday at Harders Park, and we went up against one of the Kramers, Sawyer Kramer, who's a fast little guy out there. Looked pretty good out there on the flag football field. But I want to thank the Bill Kramer, GM. I saw a commercial on the news this morning, and it looks like they got some huge discounts going on right now just in time for Christmas. And they're also doing the, if you get with your accountant over 6,000 pounds, you own your own business, you can write off almost all of that in the first year. If you're spending a lot of money with your business and need to offset that income, a new vehicle is certainly a way to do it. And all the salespeople there at Bill Kramer GM can help you with that process. I think he said they got over 46 vehicles right now on the lot that would qualify for that tax write-off. And then, of course, if you want to get out there and do some fishing, the fishing is hot out there right now. I can tell you that for certain. And if you don't have a boat and you want to get a boat, there's only one place to go. That's Kramer Marine and Outdoor. And if you do have a boat, but it needs to be fixed and you can't get it to the dealership, their mobile service will come to you and get you back out on the water ASAP. They are a Yamaha outboard full-line dealer. They have a Yamaha Master Certified mechanics on staff. They sell that family of CRI boats at Seabourn, Spider, Sundance. And, of course, they also sell the... You got it, Liam? You may not know. Skeeter. There it is. There it is. Hopefully Jay's out there giving lessons saying Skeeter. You can check out all that new and used inventory at KramerMarineandOutdoor.com. It's time to get to him. His Atlanta Falcons made the decision to bench the $100 million man to go with their another first-round offensive draft pick player, Michael Penix Jr. That is Keith Fleming. If you want to win some cash money, that's you got to listen to this segment right now, and he'll get you your official alignment. But first, I know we want to talk a little quarterback situation, not only Michael Penix and Cousins, but also the current MVP race. Keith, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Liam, I was trying to have a little conversation with him. I know he's working the board. I respect the game of he's taking his job seriously. But I'm like, how you doing, Liam? And then I just hear click. And I'm like, okay. He didn't want to talk. That's okay. And also be thinking about my sister. Have you ever heard of this? You guys, I mean, y'all eat waffle a good bit, right? Doesn't everybody?
Waffle?
Yeah, Waffle House.
Waffle House,
you know.
okay. The Heezy. Gotcha.
Sorry, I just call it Waffle. And so they're on their way back from North Carolina for a wedding. They've got my parents, her husband, the 3 little Rugrats. They stop at a Waffle House. They were in there an hour and 10 minutes. It was almost 40 minutes before they... Well, what happened was somebody called and ordered food for like 30 people. And I guess their rule is that they have to accommodate whatever is first, right? So since the person called first, they had to complete
30
their
of those
entire
orders went
order.
there first.
Yep, and it was like 30 waffles. But the only thing I would have been flipping out about is they didn't tell them until basically they'd already been there 25 minutes. And at that point, it's like,
you're locked in. Yeah, you want.
We're here. Yeah. I want my all-star. So, but I would imagine it's a pretty cranky car ride back, especially for my poor brother-in-law with my sister and 3 kids, all 4 and younger. And she said if we drive straight, we'll be back by 5 p.m. And I'm like, well, good luck with that. Hope you have a fun time.
No doubt. I know the Waffle Houses around here, like in the summertime and peak season, they will not take to-go orders.
We did the same thing here. Like they just stopped taking. You can order it in person there.
To go, yeah.
To go. But you can't like call in and get it to go, which is fair. Because, I mean, that's the whole thing about Waffle House. There's 2 things when you go to Waffle House that is guaranteed. You're going to freeze if you don't have clothes on.
Yes.
It's going to be
Blankets
like 28 below. It's like the, Lambeau Field in January for a playoff game, and the food's going to be fast. So.
Yep. No doubt. Well, hopefully they got back with not too much craziness in that car ride home. I know from experience, especially with young kids, those long car rides can be adventurous, to say the least. I remember...
Especially with my nephew, who's a real pain in the patootie, if you know what I mean. And he's in that 2 to 3 range.
Yep.
So she's got very lucky that the oldest is the sweetest kid alive. She really is.
That's your trick baby.
And then... Yep, that's exactly what she said. She told me the other day, she goes, if I'd had Bryant first, I don't know if I'd have had another 2. So,
Yep, very, very, very common. You see that. Oops, sorry. That was kind of ours as well. But yeah, all right. What do you want to start with? You want to start with the MVP race right now, or you want to talk about your Atlanta Falcons? I know that's kind of we talked about this last week, and here all of a sudden it's certainly come to fruition. That Michael Penix,
what a change a week makes, right?
No doubt, no doubt.
Didn't he say after the game, I believe I saw too on Monday, that he said that, he said he had to watch the tape, which I'm going, Raheem, come on, man. You don't have to watch the tape. Cousins didn't complete a first down pass in the first half.
Yeah.
Not a first down pass.
Not good.
And they ran it, I think it was 37 times. To 17 pass attempts, so you could tell
the writing was kind of all the wall.
Oh yeah, they were just like, let's just not put it in this guy's hands. But again, I don't understand what they were waiting on, because it's not like Vegas was a really difficult matchup. I mean, I guess maybe you're just thinking we can just win by running, and they did. Except for on that third down call, which, I about had an aneurysm. They have no timeouts, and Desmond Ritter, we're not going to take the extra. We'll give him an extra 30 seconds. Let's try to get this guy that hadn't completed a pass in 4 years to get a first down. So I'm excited. I just want to remind, if you're a Falcons fan, do not let Terry Fontenot off the hook if Penix ends up being good and this works, because he is just screwed up this organization. The last 4 years have just been a mess, like the draft. I don't even like to go through it because it's just so bad, but just the Cousins alone. He paid $100 million guaranteed. We're going to get killed in dead cap space and salary cap next year, that's if we cut him or trade him or do anything. And then what people forget is we tampered to get this dude. So we lost the tampering pick on top of everything else.
That's right.
We have to go for another draft pick. I mean, his draft picks are so bad, I don't know if that's actually a loss, man. It's just one less guy I can be disappointed in. But, it's just, I am excited about Penix, though. I really believe that, people have been hating on Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator. He has not been able to run any semblance of the offense that he would run if he had his choice. Because when you have a quarterback that can't throw the ball hard, can't throw the ball far, he can't move, really kind of limits your play calling. I do think Penix is going to be an upside. I just want people to remember, though, this is not going to be, Rome's not built in a day, right? As much as I'm excited about
NFL
it.
Football.
Exactly. And the Giants, not the easiest matchup. I know the Giants are bad, but their defense, I think they're second in the league in sacks. They get a lot of pressure. I hope it goes well. But my main goal at this point is Terry's got to go. GM's got to go out of here, dude. You just literally basically took a baseball bat to our knees with what you did with this Cousins situation. And again, wouldn't be so bad if we didn't then just draft Penix right after, because you make a miss, it happens. But to do that and then it wasn't 3 weeks, Ryan, and they drafted Penix number 8. It's like, what are we doing? And now some people are trying to say maybe he knew what he was. No, he doesn't.
No, if he did, he would have already.
Over Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Nope.
He thinks he does. That's the issue.
No, the draft is so very important. But I'm hopeful for you guys. I'm hopeful Michael Penix Jr. can be the answer that you guys need to get this thing going. Obviously, we were talking about this in the beginning of the show. Kirk Cousins has no mobility. We talked about it last week. Pushing off that back leg to drive the football just doesn't seem to be there anymore, and I think that's also led to a lot of interceptions as well. But Michael Penix brings a whole nother opportunity for your play caller by being a mobile quarterback. He can extend plays. He can get first downs based on, he can. He
got a rocket too.
Yeah, he does.
Spin it, man. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. By far of the guys there, and Bo Nix was there. There was other good QBs there. He can really sling the rock. The main thing, obviously my biggest concern is don't let him get injured. He is very mobile. He ran a 4.5 40. He's fast, but we don't need to be half them out there trying to do like a Jaden Daniels impersonation or a Bo Nix. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that we can move him around in the pocket, but I do not want to see that dude running very much.
Well, and he's, he had a history of injuries in college as well, so it's not like he is not prone to getting hurt out there. And obviously the NFL, a little different ball game, a little different speed, but apparently the organization thinks he's ready, and sounds like it's Michael Penix's show going forward. All right, speaking of quarterbacks, there's an MVP race that is heating up, and although some people think one player over the other is a favorite right now, I think Vegas has Josh Allen as the betting favorite for MVP.
Oh, it's huge. I think it's like minus 900 now, right? Is what I saw earlier. So, I mean, they're saying it's over, and that's kind of the point of this exercise, because, like, between me and you, if I had a vote, I would probably give it to Josh Allen. But I just want to point out that if you really look at it, Lamar has a pretty good case that he is the MVP. So let's just go like side-by-side comparison. Lamar, 68% completion, Allen, 64. Passing yards per game, Lamar, 255, Allen, 242. Yards per attempt, Lamar's basically at 9, Allen's at 8. Passing touchdowns, Lamar 34, Allen 25. Interceptions, Lamar 3, Allen 5. Passer rating, Lamar 120.7, which, by the way, is the fourth best passer rating. If you can stay at that level in the history since they tracked that stat. You only would have Aaron Rodgers in 2011, MVP, Aaron Rodgers in 2020, MVP, and Peyton Manning in 2004, MVP. Josh Allen is 103.5. The rushing yards, it's like, well, this is where Allen really takes over. Not really.
No.
743 rushing yards for Lamar, 484 for Allen, 8.4 yards per attempt for Lamar, 5.3 for Allen. The rushing touchdowns is significant. So really, with the 11 for Allen and the 3-4, if you're talking total touchdowns, it's 37-36. So that's very close. Total yards offense per game, Allen 308. Lamar 308, Allen 277. And then the big thing is, like, just looking at the whole teams, right? Like, the Ravens rank third in pass yards per game, second in rush yards per game, third in points per game. Their defense, 17th overall, kind of middle of the pack, terrible versus the pass, 31st. Number one rush defense still in the NFL. It's amazing how that always happens with Harbaugh. 11th in points per game allowed. The Bills rank 21st. They're 25th versus the pass, 14th versus the rush, 21st in points per game. And then they rank on the offensive side of the ball, 7th in passing yards per game, 9th in rushing yards, and 2nd in points per game. But it's ironic, right, Ryan, because don't you think if the Bills played the Ravens, instead of it being week 4, and this game would have been just in the last 3-4 weeks, I don't think there's any way everybody's like Josh Allen is the runaway MVP, because if you do not remember, these teams played each other, and the Ravens laid the smackdown on the Bills. They beat them 35-10. Allen was 16 of 29 for 180 yards. He had 21 rushing yards, not a single touchdown, while Lamar, 156 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 54 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown. Normally, like, that matters head-to-head, but ironically, like, Allen probably should have won the MVP last year. This argument was almost literally the exact opposite way, where Allen statistically was having the better season than Lamar was, but last year it was the Ravens that had the better record, right? They had the better team, and therefore the MVP went to him. And then just a few random stats, because this stuff is crazy. So Lamar had his 6th game last week versus the Giants in his NFL career, where he threw 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Only Brady and Brees have done that more, and they're both 7 times. For context, Brady didn't have his 6th game doing it until he was 40. Brees until he's 34. Lamar's only 28. It's the 5th time in Jackson's career that he threw at least 5 touchdown passes and 5 or fewer incompletions. No one else in the history of the game has done it more than 3 times. And then in Allen's last 3 games, he has totaled 14 touchdowns, adding his passing, rushing, and don't forget the receiving one. Tied for the 3rd most in any 3-game span in NFL history. Only Brady in 2007. Boy, how fun was that? These young kids, they don't understand how good that 07 Pats offense was. He scored 16 touchdowns in October alone, and Manning scored 15 in 2004. They're the only ones with more touchdowns in a 3-game span, and Allen became the first player in NFL history with multiple passing touchdowns and multiple rushing touchdowns in consecutive games. That's a whole lot of fantasy points. And then the Bills' offense had scored 17 touchdowns. They did not have one single turnaway or allowed a sack for 3 games. They're the only team since the 1970 merger to score 15-plus touchdowns, not have one turnover on offense, and not give up a sack in a 3-game span. I'm telling you, this Joe Brady, if I was, I know everybody's in love with the Detroit play caller. Joe Brady's the guy I would want. You just look what he's done and what Allen's done. They lost Stephon Diggs. Like, who's their best dude? I love James Cook, go Dogs. But they're not even using Amari Cooper. He's out there, he's only running routes and on the field for 50, 60% of the snaps.
Yep, Shakir seems to be his number one target, and then obviously they don't even have Kincaid in there right now. Dawson Knox had a monster catch in the last game, little one-handed action there. And that's where I think this MVP race, and like you said, on FanDuel, Josh Allen is minus 900, where Lamar is plus 800. So if you want to jump in there and get some value, you might want to put a couple bucks, if you're in a state where you can, on Lamar Jackson to win that MVP, as we still got 3 weeks to go, and it seems to change week in and week out.
It's hard to win back-to-back, though, right?
It is.
I think that's also part of it, is not just the record. Because say something happens, which it won't, the Bills' schedule is cake the rest of the way, but say that the Bills end up, losing 2 games, the Ravens went out and they had the same record. There's people that they're supposed to, vote not for these reasons and totally on who is the MVP, but they'll say, well, Lamar won it last year. He's already won 2. This would be his 3rd in 6 years.
Yeah.
Let's give it to Allen. So
and
I think
like you said, that's not how it should be, but it's the reality of the voting for it. There's no doubt. But, who do you think is more important for their team to win, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? If Josh Allen got injured.
I know what you're saying. I still think that because of how Joe Brady is, I think it's a wash. And I know that's not a non-answer, but I think they're definitely the 2 most important players in the NFL. Because there's a lot of data, if you look at it. Derrick Henry is kind of washed. And what I said this summer was right. It's just I forgot that he was going to be back there with Lamar Jackson, who's the most terrifying guy in the NFL. And if you look at teams that have just said we're going to stop the run, they've been able to. Nobody has been able to stop Lamar this season, because even in his losses, he's been very good outside of that Steelers game, and that was a nasty weather. That's, for whatever reason, his bugaboo.
Just the Steelers,
right? Jay was there. Yeah, he just can't seem to get over the hump. But, he's been unbelievable in, the losses. You can't really blame Lamar. Here it is. So, versus Philly, 317, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Versus Cleveland, 335, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Las Vegas, 292, 2 touchdowns, a turnover, and almost 400 total yards in the Kansas City game, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's his game. Even the Pittsburgh, it was 253, 2 touchdowns, and 1 turnover.
Horrible weather, yeah. Obviously, certainly not his fault. And the Ravens' defense, they're back into the defense a little different this year, just giving up a lot more passing yards. And I think the Bills probably have a little bit better defense when it comes to those two, and that weighs into how you win football games. So that's a factor. I don't know if these people vote.
Kansas City's right. 14 or 13-1, whatever it is, it's not because of Patrick Mahomes this year. He would be the 3rd or 4th reason. I can pretty confidently say, with the way their defense has played, I think that their defensive coordinator has been more important than Patrick Mahomes this year. Overall, we get, to the heat of it, and that's why it's Patrick Mahomes. He's going to, obviously play a huge factor, but, he hasn't been that great this year. But he hasn't had to be because they lean on their defense and their coaching.
Absolutely. And, anytime you got Andy Reid out there with Patrick Mahomes, obviously you've got a pretty good chance to win.
Steve Spagnuolo is arguably the best coordinator now of all time.
Their coaching staff is ridiculous. They got one of the best play callers in the game and one of the best defensive coordinators in the game as well. And arguably, the greatest quarterback of our current generation. So that's a three-headed monster. That there's a reason why they've won back-to-back Super Bowls. It'll be interesting to see if they can.
And they have Taylor Swift. Don't forget that. Four-headed monster.
That's it. The four-headed monster indeed. All right, Keith, we'll go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, it'll be time to dive into our Week 16 official DraftKings lineup. You guys are listening to The Inside Drive. Keith Fleming on the line as every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Nicole Auerbach has a piece about how we have a seeding problem.
It's not even just that it's confusing. It's that it's not fair to the number one overall team. You're not supposed to be dealing with the most challenging possible path to a national champion if you have earned the number one overall seed.
Paul Feinbaum, weeknights, 6 to 10 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Wednesday. A variety of very light showers and some clouds the remainder of the day with a light breeze coming out of the west-southwest around 5 miles per hour and temps near 72. Tonight we will have some clouds and slight fog and be quite warm at 60. Partly sunny tomorrow and a high 69. Sunshine Friday with a temp of 63. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Here at Panama City Toyota, Toyotathon is on, where you can get 3.99% APR on a new RAV4, plus 90 days until you make your first payment. Get 2.99% on the totally redesigned Tacoma, and you get $1,000 in holiday cash. Or get 1.99% on a new Tundra and $1,000 in holiday cash. Good cheer and great deals. Toyotathon at Panama City Toyota.
Offer expires January 6th. Visit PanamaCityToyota.com for details.
Welcome to Suncoast Arms, a better, more personal way to purchase firearms and ammo.
Get the best prices, quality, and personal professional advice on firearms and associated products.
Now you've got a friend in the business with Suncoast Arms. Call Suncoast Arms for an appointment. 850-276-6111. That's 850-276-6111. And hey, we're online at suncoastarms.com or email skipstoltz@gmail.com.
The locals love it.
You're going to love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Come on now. Old City Spud. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We got Keith Fleming on the line. You can follow him on the X machine. That is at Keith Fleming, KEITHFLEMMING. We are talking the Week 16 NFL slate. Keith, before you dive into your official lineup, let me ask you a question. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is dealing with a week-to-week ankle injury, but he has said that he wants to play this weekend. If you are the staff of Kansas City, are you letting him play, or are you letting Carson Wentz take the field? I mean, they're 13-1. They're 2 games clear right now, the Bills, for the number 1 seed. And would you want to risk your quarterback getting further injury so late in the season? You still there, Keith?
Myself. That's my bad. I muted myself.
Yeah, it's okay.
I already knew what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is where you have to be the adult in the room.
Yeah.
And say, I love your guts and your gusto, but we've got 3 games. I think it's in like 16 days. We just need to win 2 out of these last 3 games, and we have home field and then the only bye, which they need desperately with how loaded the AFC is this year. They need all the games at home. And most importantly, they need that dude as close to healthy as possible. And I don't get it. To me, it would be a little reckless because I think they could win this game versus the Texans with Carson Wentz. I honestly do.
Agreed.
Again, with how good their defense is, and like Carson Wentz is not a scrub. Like, he's a decent backup QB, and the Texans, I think, are a little fraudulent. If you really look at it, they beat up on the AFC South. I think they can win the game without him, but even if they don't, it's okay. You still control your own destiny. You just need to win those last 2 games. You have home field. So there's no way that I would let him play, but I doubt there's very many people telling Patrick Mahomes what to do at this point in his career in life.
Yeah, absolutely. They have Houston at home, and then they go on the road against the Steelers and the Broncos. Obviously, I think that Broncos matchup the easier of the two, although the Steelers didn't play that great on defense this past weekend. But yeah, you're trying to win back-to-back Super Bowls. Like you said, that number 1 seed is so darn important, not only for the bye, but the crucial home field advantage in Arrowhead Stadium, one of the biggest home field advantages in the
Don't forget, they play next Wednesday again.
Oh, they play on the Christmas Day.
They're playing again Wednesday. This is a crazy 3-game stretch, and they're rightfully complaining about it, because it is. It's like, I don't want to hear from the NFL you care about player safety when you're taking the bag to have games on Netflix or whatever it is Christmas Day on a Wednesday. It's insane.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the Steelers kind of dealing with that same situation a little bit as well. They were very vocal about it. That's just tough on these teams so late in the season when you know your teams are already reeling with injuries and all those things as well. But yeah, it's kind of a lot of fun in the NFL on both conferences, kind of seeing how these playoff races are going to shake out, as a lot of things could change, and that coveted number 1 seed needs even more now, with 7 teams getting in each conference. All right, we've got 3 weeks left before we get to the fun playoff DraftKings action. How are we looking here in this Week 16?
I really do like the options you have this week. There is a ton of under 5K, and I say a ton. There's 2 quarterbacks. I feel very good starting this week under 5K, and the amount of flexibility that gives your lineup at that point is outrageous. Obviously, I'm going with Michael Penix. It's big Penix energy right now coming out of Atlanta, so that's what we're going with. But Aiden O'Connell, if he plays for the Raiders, love that matchup versus the Jaguars. Don't forget the Jaguars are dead last versus the pass. It's not even close. And you could pair O'Connell with Myers and Bowers, who his last 2 starts, that's basically the only 2 players he's targeted for a very reasonable, percentage of your DK salary. So I like that as well. But Penix, it's a dream value. 4,500. It's rare you find a QB. Last week we did have Rodgers granted for 5,300, and he put up a 30 burger. But, it's just, look, this is a defense that just allowed Lamar to throw for 295 touchdowns with only 4 incompletions. I'm not comparing Michael Penix to Lamar, but I'm saying this Giants defense has not been the same since they lost Dexter Lawrence a few weeks ago. He is the anchor of their defense, the anchor of their run defense, the anchor of their pass rush. He's their best player. They give up an NFL high 1.93 touchdowns per game to opposing QBs. They also allow the 3rd most rushing yards to quarterbacks at 30 yards per. I do think Penix will have some opportunities to pick up some free yards. I don't want design runs, right? But if it's there, just run it out of bounds.
Extending plays, getting first downs, yada, yada, yada.
Exactly. And again, this Falcons team the last 4 weeks went from one that was throwing more than any team in the NFL the first 7 weeks to throwing the, 3rd least amount of passes per play over the last month. That was because they could not do anything with Kirk Cousins. And again, I do think Zach Robinson is a really talented play caller. Sean McVay has said some very great things about him. McVay knows his football. And I just think he's giddy to have a quarterback that he can roll out and he can actually use his entire playbook for once. The running backs this week are just a treasure trove. Let's start with James Conner, 7,100. Last year he had a brutal fantasy playoff schedule, one of the toughest of any running backs in football, and he finished with the 2nd most fantasy points week 15 through 18, averaging over 24 points per game. Well, Conner started this year's fantasy playoff stretch with his 2nd consecutive 20-plus point game. He actually put up a 30-burger. He was the number 1 back in all of fantasy. His 2nd rushing touchdown actually made him 3rd all-time of the Arizona Cardinals in rushing touchdowns. He's now scored basically 18 points or more in 5 of 8. What I love, because again, PPR for DK, it's just free points when these guys catch passes. He's caught 3 or more passes in 6 straight. And this Panthers run D, they are so bad. They allow 26 more rushing yards per game than any other defense in the NFL to running backs. It's the highest I can ever remember this late in the season. They're also the only team that allows over 5 yards per carry, and they also allow the most touchdowns to opposing running backs on the ground per game at over 1 per. So just smash play. Next one, Jamar Gibbs, 7,500 at Chicago. Sadly, the Lions lost David Montgomery for the season. I hate it for him. I hate it for their team. It just looks like the Lions are, again, I said this to you guys, some franchises are losers, others are winners, and just bad things happen, and I'm afraid that's what's happening to the Lions. But it's very good for people if you own Jamar Gibbs in your fantasy leagues, because he played a season-high in snaps last week, 75%. He scored 28.4 points. It was his 7th game this season that he's played 55% or more of the Lions' offensive snaps, a number I promise you he will reach in this game and every game moving forward. In those games, he's averaging basically 23 points per game. He scored 19 points or more in 5 of 7. He scored 25 points or more in 3 of 7. And it's the Bears defense that allows the 2nd most rushing yards per game to running backs. At the 3rd most yards per carry, they are tied with the Panthers for the most touchdowns allowed to running backs per game at just over a touchdown. And they've allowed 5 rushing touchdowns just the last 2 weeks, 3 of them to your Niners with, your 4th and 5th string running backs when you started this season. So you can get at Chicago running it. Wide receivers, obviously we have to pair a wide receiver with Penix. It is going to be Drake London, 6,400 versus the Giants. I expect him to look that way a lot. Ex-receivers and this kind of style offense are typically the ones that get peppered with targets. That's what London is. He's seen 7+ targets in 10 games this season, 10 targets or more in 6. He caught Cousins' first touchdown in 4 weeks on Sunday. And again, the Falcons threw the ball only 17 times. He only saw 3 targets and still scored 14 points. But remember, before Cousins just fell off a cliff in the last month, London caught a touchdown in 6 of his first 9 games. I expect him to score a touchdown again. It's a great matchup. DJ Moore, 5,700 versus the Lions. I could pivot to Keenan Allen because he's a little bit cheaper, and I might do that, but this Lions defense, again, they just continue to lose more and more players, most of them on the defensive side. And all of a sudden, DJ Moore has been a fantasy DFS stud for the last month. His last 4 games, 39 targets, 29 receptions, 2 touchdowns, right at 20 points per game. Again, we're looking for that 3X number, right? 5,700, 18 points, you're golden. He's averaging 20. And then you have the bonus of they're actually giving him rush attempts as well. If he's had 8 carries over his last 8 games for 52 yards, he had 3 of them just on Monday night. The 3rd receiver, Jalen Coker of the Carolina Panthers, 4,200 versus Arizona. He is a potential fantasy sleeper next season and this week because Xavier Legette is doubtful for this week's game, meaning it's going to be Thielen and Coker doing most of the work. He's only seen 6 targets and played 69% of the snaps or more in 3 games this season, something that, again, he will eclipse this week, I promise you. In those games, 11 receptions, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, almost 50 points on DraftKings, 16 points per game. And, again, 4,200, 3X, adds up real quick, right? The tight end, which was my best play. If you listen to me Sunday morning, this is what I always tell people. Check back with me. This was in the article that I put out on Friday, and I talked about this Sunday morning. Brenton Strange for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 3,500 at Vegas. He's played 60% or more of the snaps in 5 games this season. He's finished as a top 10 tight end in 4 or 5. He saw a crazy 12 targets last week, which I said I thought he'd get double-digit targets in the article. And the reason why is Mac Jones heading into that game was targeting tight ends on 31% of his pass attempts this season, and they lost Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was getting like a 25% target share, and Strange was getting a 6% with Jones being the 2nd tight end. He got all of that, and then this week he's playing the Raiders, who allow the 4th most receptions and receiving yards to opposing tight ends. Expect Strange and BTJ, again, to just get peppered with targets. The difference is Strange is, 3,500 to where BTJ's, 6K. So it's just a lot easier for him to get that number. The flex, there's enough room where if you want to go to Jamar Chase, you can. But I'm going to play Saquon Barkley, 8,300 at Washington. He's coming off his worst game since week 6. I think that might lead to lower ownership and what I don't think most people realize is a great matchup Washington allows 2 opposing running backs the second most yards per carry at 4.97 yards per, and the 6th most rushing yards per game at 110. And if you remember, these teams met earlier this year, and Barkley had a monster game. He scored 36.8 points on DK. He had 146 rushing yards on 26 carries, 2 TDs, and he also caught 2 passes for 52 yards. And then I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders for my defense. They're playing Jacksonville. Obviously, I like Strange, but I don't like much else about this Jacksonville team. And the Raiders have kind of been a frisky defense all of a sudden. They've scored 6 points or more in 3 straight on DK. They've allowed only 60 points in that 3-game span. Yes, I know one of them was against the Falcons, so that doesn't really count. But the other 2 are versus the Chiefs and Bucks, so not exactly like the worst offenses in the world. And in that span, they have 12 sacks and have forced 4 turnovers over their last 3. It's the most sacks and forced turnovers they've had at any 3-game stretch this entire season. And hopefully Max Crosby will be back for them, who actually did not play in the Falcons game, and they still had 3 sacks. So that is the official DK Cash lineup for, sadly, Week 16, boys. We're meeting the end of the season.
That's it. It's getting here quick. Did have a question from one of our listeners. They wanted to know what you thought of Malik Washington as a playoff sleeper and a 2025 sleeper as well, the wide receiver there for the Miami Dolphins.
I will say for 2025, I need to know more about, what happens in the off season. For this week, if Waddle is definitely ruled out, yeah, I think especially in PPR formats, he's a great play. Now, I will say that if it's not PPR formats, just lower your expectations, because you got to score touchdowns and hit big yardage totals. I love the targets and volumes and receptions he got last week, but I kind of have a feeling they're going to lean a little bit more on Janu and Tyreek Hill, but he's going to have an opportunity, in a Miami offense that they obviously throw it a lot. And they need to get back on track after what was just an awful performance by Tua last week and a really big game for them that kind of knocked them out of the playoff contention.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Appreciate that, Keith, very, very much. I'll ask you one as well from a personal standpoint, and one of them has to do with your boy, but would you go with, in a flex spot, full PPR, Bucky Irving or Ladd McConkey?
Ladd is my guy. I'm literally fighting people on Twitter right now because if you go look at the metrics, he looks pretty good against guys like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown their rookie year, but I can't sit Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving is, as somebody who's, a fan of an NFC South team, I don't like knowing that guy's going to be there because he just, to me, looks like, and, probably the next 12, 14 months, we're going to be saying, is Bucky Irving one of the 2 or 3 best running backs in the NFL because he can do it all? And Tampa kind of struggled 2 weeks ago, right, when he only had 4 carries. He was struggling with the back injury. And I, played him in the Scott Fish Bowl very reluctantly last week, and I was very glad that I did because he looked a lot like the guy he's been basically since he's taken over, a majority of the snaps there. He's playing about 55% of them. And, again, Tampa needs to win. I just think, Bucky's floor is so much higher than Ladd's, even in a PPR.
Yeah.
And I don't think the ceiling is that much different. Because even if Ladd had a game like he did against the Falcons, if Bucky, goes for 100 yards, scores a touchdown, and catches 3-4 passes, it's basically a wash.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got Bucky in there right now. Obviously, the Bucks are big fans of Bucky Irving.
How good are your wide receivers is my question, though. Good Lord.
Yeah, no, I've the first week in this one, this is the Inside Drive League, I got 162.24 points. But I also have James Conner and Chuba Hubbard. So obviously James Conner did some wonderful things. But Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans are my 2 wide receivers, including
you can't sit those guys.
No. They are in my wide receiver slots, no doubt about that. But got lucky with Bucky Irving, that's for sure, because obviously he's had a fantastic year, and I think he's the future RB1 going forward for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which good for them. It just goes to show you can find elite running back talent in those 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds.
Did you see the players on the most ESPN fantasy football playoff teams by position? I was just asking about that, and I saw it today because this to me is always fascinating. Lamar is the QB at 64%. The running backs, Barkley and Henry, at 69 and 63%. No surprise, the wide receivers, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Guess who that tight end is?
Brock Bowers.
Yep. Brock Bowers at 61%. Kind of did shock me. The flex is Alvin Kamara, who's really flown under the radar at 62%, but he's been really good. The defense, the defense would be.
Good question. Minnesota Vikings?
Yes, sir. Great call. 54%. That would not been my first guess, and I would have known the kicker just because I was lucky enough to pick him up in Scott Fishbowl. Yep, and he scores, I swear, 20 points every week.
This is insane.
He's been one of the real MVPs, for real.
No doubt. Keith, we appreciate you as always. Week 16 gets underway tomorrow night. Good luck this weekend. Looking forward to talking to you again. Well, actually, no, next week we will be off. Have a very, very Merry Christmas, and look forward to talking to you the week after that. We'll be here.
Well, you won't be here because on the 1st, I believe we have football games all day.
Oh, okay.
I'll double check on that.
There you go. Well, Keith, I'll keep you posted, and we may have some catching up to do in the future. No doubt about that. And, of course, good luck to you, Georgia Bulldogs.
You don't have to twist my arm to, talk about DFS and fantasy. So you let me know when and where, and I'm there, and people can obviously find all my stuff. I'll still be doing the articles and the shows on Fantasy and Brains and Fantasy Six Pack.
There you go. Just follow them on Twitter or X at Keith.
Yeah, college football playoffs are on New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. Okay, well, good. We get New Year's Day off then.
Yeah, it's kind of normal anyway.
Yeah, that is true. Go Dogs indeed.
Hi, Keith. Merry Christmas, bro.
Yep.
You too, Dave. Have a great one, buddy.
Yes, sir.
You be good, buddy. I hope Santa's good to you.
I'm sure he will be. He's barely staying with us right now. He's a little under the weather, so we might have to take him somewhere at sometime soon here, pretty quick. But
Santa's lap. There you go.
Tell him you want the good stuff, Liam, when you get there to the doctor. Okay.
No doubt. No doubt. Keith, you have a great week. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
You guys as well. Tell Jay thanks for showing up today.
Absolutely. We'll make sure.
We will. He did come to the flag football game last night, which if I was a betting man, which I am, I would have lost 100%. All right, you guys are listening to the Inside Drive. We'll be back with our final segment on this Wednesday afternoon.
This just in. Get the latest sports news, scores, and updates from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Follow us on Facebook for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes action, live streams, and the chance to interact with your favorite hosts.
Stay connected. Stay connected. Stay connected.
Join the conversation on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Search for ESPN Northwest Florida and crush the follow button.
I follow you on social media.
We're always here to keep you in the game.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
It's the Season of New Traditions sales event going on now at Bill Bird Kia. Now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months of the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento or a new 2025 Kia Sportage. Take your next holiday adventure in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento or new 2025 Kia Sportage with $1,748 per month per $1,000 financed in 60 months. Quantity is limited, not to be combined with other finance offers and not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 1/2/25.
4. Don't mind me. I'm just playing through. Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. ESPN Northwest Florida.
welcome back. You're listening to Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida on this foggy, but I don't know if it's still foggy out there. I got to imagine that fog is hopefully lifted by now.
It was foggy going over the bridge, but then right after you got over the bridge, not too bad anymore.
Just kind of opened up a little bit once you got away from that water.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like driving in the fog.
Yeah.
No defrost, just don't get in my way, daggum.
That's it. None of the defrost action out there. But yeah, I want to mention we got a championship game tomorrow afternoon, I should say, in middle school boys soccer. We had some semifinal games yesterday, and UA and University Academy and Surfside will play in the boys county championship. That'll be at 3:15 tomorrow over there at University Academy. University Academy had a big win yesterday in the semifinals over Bay Haven Middle School. They were down 1-0 at half. They tied it up early in the second half, went to 2 golden goal 5-minute overtimes, which Jay learned yesterday what golden goal was. No one scored, so of course they went to penalty shootouts. They won 3-0 in penalties. UA goalie Jeffrey Ice blocked 2 penalties and they kicked the other 2 were wide. Fraser Sale, Griffin Pointer, and Weston Moore all scored for UA in the penalties to move them on to the championship. But that'll be over there at University Academy tomorrow afternoon on the new turf field. We're looking forward to checking that one out and see if UA can bring home another county championship in soccer.
Liam should dress up as the Eagle. Maybe he'll sweat some of that funk out.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Just don't let anybody else wear that Eagle costume after you. Some other local sports action as this is the last week before the break when it comes to your high school sports. I know Arnold is hosting a basketball tournament as they do every year as well. But just some action yesterday. Not any action today with any of the teams I follow on Max Preps anyway. But yesterday we just had one. The Arnold girls soccer team traveled up to Mariana and beat them in the Mercy Rule 8-0. Thursday you've got some action coming up. I'll talk about that tomorrow. And again, like I said, you've got that Christmas tournament coming up on Friday the 27th, 28th, and Monday the 30th over there at the MAC. We'll keep you posted on all the teams participating and the schedule of that tournament as well. Real quick, we've been talking a lot of NFL football today. The playoff picture, as I mentioned, is kind of coming together. On the AFC side, you've got the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a 2-game lead for that coveted number 1 seed in the AFC. They are 13-1. Bills leading that AFC East with a 11-3 record. Pittsburgh Steelers still hanging on to the AFC North despite the loss last weekend to the Eagles. They are now 10-4. And then the Houston Texans have also clinched the division in the AFC South with that 9-5 record. In the wild card race, the Baltimore Ravens lead that with the tiebreaker over the Denver Broncos. Both teams 9-5 try to get to that 10th win, which makes a big difference when it comes to clinching that playoff spot. And then the Jim Harbaugh-led Los Angeles Chargers are 8-6 and currently have the 7th seed locked up. And then on the bubble, you got the Indianapolis Colts. A win last week would have went a long way in that playoff picture. Miami Dolphins also 6-8. And then the Cincinnati Bengals kind of climbing into that picture a little bit. Still need a lot of things to happen. They are 6-8 as well. Teams in the AFC that have been eliminated: the Jets, the Browns, the Jaguars, the Titans.
What? The Titans are eliminated?
They indeed are.
I thought we started the season eliminated.
Some might say, but 3-11 for a lot of these teams. And of course, the Las Vegas Raiders are at 2-12 and would have the number 1 overall pick if the season ended right now. On the NFC side of things, you got the Detroit Lions, who are 12-2, currently got that number 1 seed, but they also have the tiebreaker over the NFC East leading Philadelphia Eagles, who are also 12-2. I believe they can clinch this weekend with a win and a Commanders loss. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are currently leading the NFC South by a game over those Atlanta Falcons. The Bucs are 8-6, and the Rams leading the NFC West. Big week last week for the Rams, who got a victory, but even more important for them, the Seattle Seahawks did lose. They are 8-6, leading that NFC West. In the wild card, a 12-2 team is the 5th seed right now. That is the Minnesota Vikings. Green Bay Packers at 10-4. That NFC North, you've got 12-2, 12-2, and 10-4, and then of course you've got the Chicago Bears, who have dropped, I think, 8 straight games since that Hail Mary debacle, and the guy taunting the fans before the play. I mean, sometimes these moments happen, and it changes the direction of your season. So 6th seed right now is that Green Bay Packer team at 10-4. Washington Commanders got the 7th seed locked up behind Jaden Daniels at 9-5. On the bubble, the Seahawks are 8-6. The Falcons are 7-7. The Cardinals are 7-7. The Niners on the bubble at 6-8, but need a lot of things to happen in order to make the playoffs. Dallas Cowboys are also 6-8, and the New Orleans Saints, who have not officially been eliminated yet, are at 5-9. Teams on the NFC side who have been eliminated, only 3: the Chicago Bears, the Carolina Panthers, and the New York Giants. So if the playoffs started this week, your matchups would be Detroit and Kansas City both having a bye. Baltimore and Houston would be going against each other. Denver and Pittsburgh, the Chargers and the Bills. Over on the NFC side, you'd have the Vikings and the Rams, the Packers and the Bucks, and the Commanders at the Eagles. That would be kind of a fun one.
I mean, I think either which way you go when you get to the NFL playoffs, there's going to be some really good matchups, and they're always a lot of fun. But you hate it if you're the Commanders and you got to go up against your division foe in the Eagles.
Absolutely. They may still have to play them in the regular season.
I think that there is one more game between those two.
Yeah, which obviously a lot of playoff implications still to go. And, if you're competing in fantasy football and you have Patrick Mahomes and you might need a quarterback, although he says he wants to play, I just don't see a scenario where they let him play. You could take a flyer on Michael Penix Jr. I'd imagine he's available in most leagues right now. He probably has a somewhat medium to high ceiling, but don't know where that floor ends up landing. But I asked Keith at David Oshke the same thing. What do you think the Chiefs should do with Mahomes?
I don't think that you leave the decision up to him. I think especially with you having a game on Christmas, I think that you go ahead and you sit him this game and let him get that ankle back to 100%. It probably won't get to 100%, but if he... At the same time that I say you take the decision out of his hands, sometimes, Andy Reid is going to come up with the best decision. And if that's letting Patrick Mahomes do what he wants, but then if he gets into a game and then ruins that ankle even more, it's going to be, it could be a tragedy for the rest of the season. When you've got a big game on Christmas, and I think that you save him and let him be the Christmas present for, well, I guess it would be the Christmas nightmare for the rest of the NFL. But yeah,
nightmare before Christmas, indeed. But yeah, I think the risk is too big to let him play in that game, especially when you've got a couple game lead for that number 1 seed there in the AFC. But they're trying to make it 3 Super Bowls in a row. No team has ever done that before, and I think they have a lot better chance doing that with Patrick Mahomes under center than Carson Wentz. Although Carson Wentz,
Chiefs fans might be looking at the TV and wincing when they're watching that.
Yeah, I mean, and he's dealt with some ankle things before that he's played through. But again,
if you ask AG, he's faking the injury. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, may add to the storyline.
Yep.
There's a lot of those interesting storylines always surrounding those Kansas City Chiefs. The NBA All-Star Game announced its new format yesterday. Basically, it's not a conventional game anymore. Kind of taking a page a little bit out of the NHL All-Star Game a little bit.
Yeah, it's more similar to that.
Yeah, they've got 4 teams, 3 with 8 All-Stars each, and 1 comprised of the Rising Stars winners.
Yeah.
There will be 2 semifinal games between the 4 teams, followed by a championship game between the semifinal winners. Each game is is up to 40. The teams will be picked before the game by Kenny, Shaq, and Chuck, which will certainly be interested. Kevin Durant has been vocal about not being a fan of this particular format. But you know what?
It adds competition to it, man.
It adds competition to a game or an all-star game that is never usually competitive.
Oh, and here's the thing. The veterans are still going to play the game the same exact way.
Yep.
It's still going to be a whole bunch of three-point shots and dunks.
Yep. Which is kind of what the NBA is nowadays.
Right, it is. I don't think people watch enough. I'll say I'm one of the first ones. If we're going to complain about, the game, I don't know if you're as tuned into it as much as you would think that you are, because it's not just 3 points and dunks, but it has gotten out of hand. And so when you're used to watching a brand of basketball that you grew up watching, it has changed totally. But for the youngins, they like that. It's higher offensive output, all that good stuff. Defense is lacking. But then when you get to the playoffs, they tighten up a little bit. I don't know if this actually makes it more competitive. I think it makes it a more competitive situation from the viewer standpoint. Like, even when you watch the 3-on-3, like, those guys aren't going all out, in the NHL.
Yeah, yep.
They're not going all out, but it is one of those things where you've got these games within the game, and so the fact that you're not just playing to 211 to 196 or whatever, it's that in and of itself brings a more competitive nature to the All-Star game. So as much as Kevin Durant doesn't like it, I'm interested in seeing how it goes, because normally I can only watch the fourth quarter of the All-Star game since they've brought in that Kobe Bryant rule.
Yep. Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, the All-Star game is not for the players. It's certainly for the fans and the entertainment of it. David, we'll do a quick, this is from the Athletic email that I get every day. Guess the NFL player. Clue number 1, 2-time Pro Bowler. Clue number 2, active leader in interceptions. Clue number 3, 4 playoff wins. Here are your 4 choices: Andy Dalton, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, or Joe Flacco.
4 playoff wins, 2-time Pro Bowler. I'd go Joe Flacco would be my first choice. Matt Stafford would be second choice.
All right, let's see.
Scroll on down.
Well, I got to click it, and it's got to tell me. Okay. It is not Joe Flacco as the correct one. We'll go with Matt Stafford. I'm going to guess Captain Kirk, to be honest with you. With 4 playoff wins.
And it kind of lines up with what's going on.
Topical.
Does he have 4 playoff victories, though?
With the Vikings, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
So does Phillip Rivers have 4?
Yeah. No, Andy. No, which one is it?
We're down to 2.
I'm clicking all of these here. Matt Stafford is the correct answer. Yep. But we got to go. Afternoon Underdogs coming up at 6 p.m. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Y'all have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Just in time for the holidays and not by popular demand, Coach Hale sings his favorites. And who can forget? Through a burn ring of fire, down, 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 that flame red higher. It's that burn, that ring of fire. Oh, plus this one. Coach James Hale, it's a good thing he knows sports, because he doesn't sing worth a big show today. Big.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Wednesday. A variety of very light